rise and shine your light. And opulent solution seekers, it's your girl, the spiritual activist, coming to you with another word, message, spot of wisdom, whatever you want to call it. Coming home is coming to a place where you go to a state, like your happy place where you felt the safest. A time where for some happened in the womb. A time when they felt like their most authentic self. A time when they felt trauma-free, when they weren't in shock, when they weren't experiencing fear, anxiety, overstimulation, overwhelm, remorse, but instead they felt feelings of peace, bliss, ecstasy, all of these high vibrational energies, Coming home is coming to God, reconnecting. Along the way we lose sight of it. We lose sight of this higher almighty power, the source of all, and we think it's from these outside sources that are man-made, that are artificial. We're always yearning and seeking to get in this place of peace. But we don't even know how to get there. We don't know the first thing. And we're doing it on autopilot. Mindlessly trying to pull ourselves back to our soul, to our spirit, trying to reconnect. But we don't even realize it, And everyone doesn't have the luxury of living in the RV or living in the country and with acres of land, or living in these homesteads, or having the money to have self-sustainable gardens and just this peaceful life, this environment of peace. And I know peace is within and without, but when you're really in the trenches, when you're really in the struggle, when you're really in a traumatic environment, an environment where you're constantly in overdrive of that fight or flight response to your sensories, then it's easier said than done than to say, oh, I have inner peace, so I'm at peace. No, it's easier said than done. Your environment plays a major, major, major role in your peace. And that's something we can't take lightly or ignore. But I want you to know that if you are in this circumstance and you do have children, don't fret. You can still find moments where you show them what peace feels like, because a lot of times we forget, or we don't know, we've never really experienced it from a conscious state, as an adult, or it may be something we experienced as a child or an infant, but as an adult, we're not familiar with this emotion or state of being. And that's why they always say, be at peace with peace, because sometimes you take it as boredom or loneliness or a void, when really this is a moment that you should be basking in, because it's something that you never really experienced before. But that's all for now. Alright, so I don't have the intentions of posting this. This is just me, literally talking to myself and reflecting. But it's reflecting on my current situation, and a couple of the things that pop in my head. So I don't know why I'm in a season of struggle, in a season of financial strain. But the mind wants to justify or rationalize or just come up with a reason. It wants to know the why. And sometimes when we leave it up to our mind to give us the why, it's not the right why. You know what I mean? It's just what we have to give ourselves to give us a mental peace. It's not necessarily the clarity isn't necessarily true, whatever we come to, whatever conclusion we come to as to why we're going through what we may consider hell on earth or misery may not be the real reason. Just like Joseph in the Bible, at the time when his brothers sold him to slavery, they threw him in that well, all those things. He didn't know at that moment why he was going through it. And I felt like there was moments where he almost lost hope, but God was doing so many intricate things to maneuver. Like he was with them the whole time. And it's like, despite all of the negative energy around Joseph to try to keep him down and to keep him, oppressed and suppressed, which I don't even know if these people who were being used for his bad, God was using them for his good. You know what I'm saying? There's a song that says that. But he did so many intricate little things to orchestrate the whole thing. And it's like, if you look back on it, even the first initial bad thing, throwing him in that well and selling him to the Egyptians, was the first step of the plan. Or even if it wasn't the plan, God knew how to pivot and make it part of the plan. It's like God is the master. Like, we have to think about all the good qualities within ourselves, all the resiliency. If we're made out in God's image, he's the originator. He's the OG of it. You know what I mean? Like, everything good in us is a reflection of God. So he's the master of it. Like, we may be, if we good at something, he been knowing it. It's like your parents, like when they like, bro, I've been here already. I already know what's going on. I already have the blueprint. If he's our father, it's the same kind of situation. I love to look at comparisons of a child and like analogies of a child and a parent's dynamic when I look at like God and our dynamic. So basically, yes, like he was doing all these little things to, sending the baker and the wine maker to the jail, and they had the dream, and then he helped with the dream, and then, the winemaker forgot about him. And if you read Genesis, it's in there. I don't know which chapter, which verse, but it's basically like all the little things he did to get Joseph free and to eventually get him to where he should be on the throne, in power, because he had the ultimate goal, to rule many nations. This is a covenant he created, a promise he created all the way back to Abraham, you know what I'm saying, and all of his generations. So, like he says, I'm the God of your father, your grandfather, whatever. So it goes back. And ultimately, he never lost faith. He may have been like, I don't know where I'm going, when it's ever going to come, where it's going with this. I know he had moments in that prison where he was just like, bro, I guess this is it. But eventually, he never lost faith. Whenever God called his name, he was there. You know what I mean? Like, he did what he did. And I don't know why I'm going through my phase or my season, but a lot of times there is energy, there is the world that will try to bring you down, but you have to remember God is always with you, and you can't forget that. And don't forget to call on him. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's there and he sees it. Like, I know in my heart that he sees everything I'm going through. When, the Israelites or, the Hebrews were going through torture and slavery in Egypt, God saw it all. He's like, I see my people, the chosen people. I'm their, these are my first children, basically, he said, this is like my first son or whatever, like this group of people, he sees them suffering, and it's time for them to get out of Egypt and go back to their homeland. You know what I'm saying? And so he saw it all. Like, he heard the cries, he heard the, like, why are we going through this? Like, and I think about, of course, from my perspective as a black woman, I think about black freedmen, black Americans. He hears our cry. He hears the struggles that we're going through. He knows the struggles we have on this land. And I don't necessarily think it's about going back somewhere else or going back to, Africa, or because honestly, that is not our home anymore. Like, for me, that's not my home. Like, my home is here. It's to have a certain level of peace on my own land. There are indigenous indigenous black people in America. There are people who have ancestry with Native American, indigenous black people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of digressing, but not really, because it's just like he hears it, he knows what's going on. It's just a matter of on his timing. Shoot, it was years that was going by, and during the famine, and then when you think about when Moses was chosen to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, all the times the king, the Pharaoh, kept rejecting everything, even all the miracles God showed him. The Pharaoh had his wizards or magicians and people do the same things, duplicated. So it's like, oh, we could do it. So it's not God, it's just somebody else. He got some magicians in his back pocket or whatever, until it's progressively got stronger and stronger and stronger, and let you know, like, hey, I'm the source. Everything you got, I gave it to you. Whether you did it from whatever standpoint you do coming from whatever intention you're coming from, don't forget, I'm gonna remind you, I'm the source of it. Anything you have on this land, this earth, it's a derivative of my initial creation. So I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you that I'm that nigga. I'm the one with the almighty power. Omnipotent, you know what I'm saying? Like omnipresent, like all those omnis. But ultimately the ultimate creator, the original creator. So anything you can create, I can do it. Anything you can do, I can do better. But yeah, that was just my love, giving God his flowers. But yeah, so I was just thinking about that, and something else on another topic I was thinking about also, like, you know, when you're going along your journey and you know your calling, you have a good idea of it. You may not have it honed in yet on your niche or what it is. And some of us have so many aspects of our calling that it's hard to focus on which one should I focus on first. You know what I'm saying? But you just keep praying for guidance, keep seeing where you're being drawn to, where you're being guided to, keep sitting with yourself, try to take a break from social media because it can shift or pivot you in directions that may not necessarily be the voice you should be listening to. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you really have to quiet the noise because we're already connected with this collective consciousness, meaning there's many thoughts and wisdom within our consciousness already. So you have to learn how to sit with yourself because you already have to detach just from those thoughts that can be circulating in this collective consciousness pool or ocean that we're pulling from. People get mad when other people like spit their wisdom. Yeah, sorry. You know, like they say, when the distraction follows the intention or whatever, destruction, whatever. I can't remember the saying, but you know, the devil be busy. When I'm trying to spread the word, the random shit be popping up. People, random scam numbers calling more than ever. I'm like, okay, whatever. I ain't forget what I was going to say. So, yeah, when you're going along your journey and you don't really know what it is, you know, I would advise against sharing all of your dreams, aspiration, goals, whatever, like your vision, like, because whether you know it or not, you're planting a seed in someone else's subconscious. Whether their intention is to steal your idea or not, and I'm going to come back to really if you can steal someone's idea, but that's where I was talking about it first before I got interrupted. But whether they intentionally took your idea or not, because a lot of times people are not consciously aware of what's going on in life. They're not really present. I'm gonna just be real with you. Most people are not present. So half the time when you're talking to them about this and that, they're not really paying attention, but subconsciously it's recording everything. Your brain, your eyes, your ears, and your brain, like the way it comes through these orifices, it's recording everything. So they may not have this idea now, but if you don't make a move on it, 5 years from now, say you never lived that dream up to fruition, and all of a sudden they come up and they say, hey man, I've started working on this program, it does this, or I created this invention, or I created this product, and you're like, bro, you think in your head, bro, I'm the one that told you about this product. What you mean? Like, and they really don't even remember, like they really was not even there when you said this, and they don't realize you put that idea in their head. Not intentionally, you wasn't trying to give them that idea, but that's just how the brain works. And so it's like, to prevent your idea from being quote unquote stolen, I suggest you make a move. Start doing it as if you're already doing it. You know, like some people say, like, hey, start looking for houses already. Start looking at cars and the prices of it. Start looking at how you want to lay out your business. Start creating a website. It's like, act as if it's happening already. You know what I mean? Because that's building wherever, you know, you direct your energy and your focus, that magnifies the manifestation of it or whatever. So that doesn't mean that your ideas still can't be quote unquote stolen, because like I said, we're a collective consciousness, meaning that idea was never yours. Like I said, God is the Almighty. Everything of creation came from him. He encompasses all of the ideas. Like I said, he's like the ocean. We're a drop out of this ocean, meaning we encompass it all, but like on a smaller scale, that's fit for us. But in that notion, it means that we all have access to the same ocean. Now, he may physically, or not physically, but you know what I mean? He may intentionally put a seed in you, and you've been carrying the seed around your entire life. And that's what I like to use when I tell people to like get to know your spirit. What's that thing that's been gnawing at you your entire life? What's that thing you wanted to do your entire life since a kid? Some of us have those things that we've just kind of pushed down or pushed away or forgotten about. Sometimes you got to sit and unlock that dream again, like, and realize that dream can become a reality. It's not just a dream. Now it's time for the planning mode. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it can still be quote unquote stolen. That's what I was talking about earlier before I was interrupted, is that this is all recycled wisdom. This is all recycled creative energy. God is the holder of all of it. He's the source of all this encompassing energy. He appointed different ascended masters, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, like all these people. He appointed them. They were chosen to deliver his mission across the nations. So one person is not going to do it all. He's a one person overseer, but he appoints people. He's like a parent. He's not a helicopter dad or mom. You know what I mean? He's like a person that, how people hire people to do things that they don't want to do or that they're not that good at. It's the same thing. It's not that he's not that good at. It's just that he knows how to delegate to his children, and he trusts them to, he's given them that chance to build his trust and to be faithful in us. He has faith in us. You know what I'm saying? He never gave up on us. If you read the book of Genesis, it really shows how he's by our side the entire time. And he's called a lot of us. We're all chosen, to be honest with you. Anybody who's willing to answer the call, it's like God is fishing. You know how people say like dudes that throw out the fish and like whoever bites, like, got it. It's kind of like that. Like, we're all chosen. It's just that not everybody chooses to pick up the call, answer the call, So it's like you just have to figure out what gifts start to gravitate and align with you, what starts to align with your natural characteristics, personality, all the aspects of what makes you in your spirit and in your physical body. You know what I'm saying? So you choosing how you want to show up in this world, that impacts everything. So it's like you just start to feel more and more at home. You start to come closer and closer to God, because to me, the path to God is doing things that feel in alignment with you, feel purposeful, bring you total joy, bliss, ecstasy, the things that elevate you and raise your vibration, that make you feel these extremely beautiful emotions. Like, it's hard to explain the feeling, but the more you do that, the more you are opening up yourself, because the safer you feel and the more you build that connection, that direct path to God, the more that connection, like those receptors are picking up God's word, because that trust is being, the more you open up, the safer you feel, the more you trust. You just think about it like a regular relationship. The more you trust the person, the safer you feel with the person, the more you open up to them, the more you can relax and let go. You ever been in a car with somebody and you become a passenger driver? And then you ride with somebody else and you can dang near fall asleep. You like not even looking. They like, dang, you ain't see that car? They're like, nah, I ain't even paying attention, bro. You got it. Like, that's an ultimate trust, So that's just a little example with, just to break it down. But so there's that I want to talk about, just about sharing your ideas. And I want to talk about, why I'm in this season, not really understanding, but I know God hears me, he sees me. And in the end, in every situation, he came through. It may not have been exactly when they wanted to, but he came through. And if he gave you a promise, he stands by his word. God is a man of his word, a presence of his word. You know what I'm saying? So just constantly trying to remind myself that even in the dark times, I have to show faith. And the thing is, that's how you bring a following. That's how you get people to believe. That's how you get people to praise and worship God, is when they see these God-fearing people, these faithful people, these believers of God of our God. You know, people have different gods now. Like, you know, some people worship animals, some people worship pharaohs and kings or whatever, but I worship the Almighty God. I worship what I feel is the creator of all those gods that you're worshiping. So, you know, the Almighty. But yeah, and another thing I kind of want to talk about. Well, actually, no, I'm doing it in another video because I really don't think I want to. That would be kind of contradictory with what I said about sharing your vision. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up this reflection. They don't want it to be too long anyway. Y'all not going to watch it. But all right, guys. So I had this on in my drafts for a story that I was going to post on Instagram. But I was like, you know, this is something that I feel like is a good tactic in shifting the mindset and about detaching from the collective consciousness, or, you know, the collective consciousness, the waves, the vibrations. You have to realize there's different waves of people. Like, there's different groups on different wavelengths, different vibrations. And sometimes the frequency is lower than yours, especially when you have a calling to become like a healer, a teacher, energy healer, like all those types of aspects. You have a higher frequency because you have the ability to observe and the ability to see things from an overstanding perspective. And so that when you have that kind of awareness, you can detach from it and you can still hold on to the divinity within you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still know that you're a child of God and that you have that protection. But I was looking at this post on the internet, and nothing against this post or the person, because that's their truth, that's their rationale. But it said you have to go through hell before you get to heaven. And I was like, you know, there is some truth to that. But like I said in one of my other posts, like, I don't know why I'm in this season that feels like struggle or whatever it is. But if I had to ask myself, is this a truth that I'm going to incorporate in my belief system? Is this a narrative that I'm going to ingrain in my DNA, that I'm going to seal? And one thing that has really, really empowered me, and I use it in everything I use, is the power of choice. The power of knowing there are no definitives outside of God. The power of knowing there are no absolutes. Like, basically, it's not a black and white to me. That was a huge aha moment for me, a huge revelation. Like, it's a spectrum. Everything's on a spectrum. So the fact that he said you have to go through hell to get to heaven, that could be true for one specific scenario. That is not going to be my truth for my whole life. The idea that we always have to fight. Because even me, and I have a mantra that says you have to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. And that is a mantra I use when I feel like I'm in a freaking storm. It doesn't mean it's a mantra I use on a day-to-day basis, that there's always going to be a storm. Some days you may wake up and it's just a beautiful day. And it stays a beautiful day the whole day. You don't have to accept every narrative. Narratives are used as a way to empower. They're like mantras. They're like affirmations. They're things that they're thoughts that we create to build a certain level of a rationale, peace of mind, a strength within the mind, a justification, because the mind needs some answers, some kind of answer to their why. You know, like, why is this happening? So we create the idea, the answer that, oh, this is happening because you have to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Oh, you have to go through the hell to get to heaven. You have to go through hell on earth to get to heaven on earth. And you have to go through resistance to get to this. And a lot of these situations are true. But the thing is, if that's going to be your absolute truth, that means that's what you're working towards, a life of always having to fight. Me, I look at it as like, as long as I'm in this wounded mindset, yes, there may be a lot of my truth, but as I heal more and more and more, this narrative will dissipate. This narrative will go away. This is like a phase. This truth has a expiration date, if you will. That's the perfect way of saying it. Like how I have this mantra that says it's temporary until it's fulfilling. That truth does not fulfill me. That truth does not give me solace or peace or satisfaction. I'm not satisfied with that truth. So that is a temporary truth for me. Yeah, right now I feel like I got to go through hell a little bit to get to heaven. But once you get to heaven, are you going to go through hell again? You get what I'm saying? Like, there's an end to it. But yeah, it comes to an end. And so you have to look at all those things like it gets worse before it gets better. You know, there's going to be resistance when you're breaking energy, when you're bringing together energy. Just when you want to give up is when the blessing is going to come. You know, sometimes you got to go through a breakdown and get through the breakthrough. A lot of these cliches or terms or mantras or affirmations, whatever you want to call them, they do have some level of validity to them. They do have some level of truth to them in certain situations, in certain circumstances. But that doesn't mean it's always true for everyone and it's always true all the time. See, that's the thing. We want to think healing and this is why there's no one right solution in a sense. There's foundations. There's ways to create a general idea of something, and you give that idea to that person and it blossoms into what's right for them. It's kind of like this magical seed that God has given all of us. We share that seed with different people, but it grows a different plant in each person that it gives. So the fruit that comes from the tree of that person is just right for them. The fruit that comes from the tree that the seed that I put in my body that grows is just right for me. You see what I'm saying? So it's just the idea of saying that the words and how you hear them, they resonate with you in the way that works for you. They resonate with that person in the way that works for them. So you have to just have that understanding that it's all temporary if you want it to be. If that saying works for you and you want to solidify it as an absolute truth in your belief system, then you choose to do that. But if you don't and you want to say, just like I say, it's temporary until it's fulfilling, that works for anything. They can work for anything. We have universal tactics that can be used for multiple aspects of our lives. So I can use that for a job. Hey, this job temporary until it's fulfilling. I know right now I'm just using it to make ends meet while I do the things that I'm doing the things that I need to do so I can do the things that I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, all these little terms that build a certain level of energy and inspiration and motivation. Words are powerful and they can do a lot of things, but you have to ask yourself, what are the words that you're incorporating into your belief system doing to you? So, you know, you have that it's temporary to fulfill it. You could say that into a relationship, into like I said, the sayings. It can be used everywhere. And that goes to like another tactic that I think his name is Kier Gaines. Well, anyway, he's like a licensed therapist. He's on Instagram. I'm sure he has other places he's on, but he focuses a lot on male healing. And, you know, he's a black man. He knows how he wants to show up in this world. He knows his filter, his representation gives a certain inspiration to a specific audience, which is needed. It's a demand. You know what I'm saying? It's a lack in the world that he's fulfilling. He's feeling. So, but I digress. Basically, he had a statement about how to know when rest is too much, and basically like and this can be a generalized statement or method used within your mindset to know when something that's normally or typically essential to the human body, when it's being over practiced, overused, or just too much, is when that thing that you're doing, you know, for example, rest as he used, when it's starting to affect your other aspects of your life, like your relationships, your jobs, your endeavors, your goals, whatever, when it starts to affect them in a way to me that's detrimental or deteriorating or quote unquote negatively, however you want to associate that. But if it starts to impact other aspects of your life in a way that's may be counterproductive or not necessarily serving you or essential to your growth, then that's when you can take a step back and reevaluate. Okay, maybe I'm at a threshold now of where that rest is becoming depression, or that rest is becoming laziness, or that rest is just becoming just too much. Like anything is too much. Like there's anything can become too much. You could drink too much water. You could die from drinking too much water. If you literally sat there and drank until you could internally drown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like anything can be of too much, except for, to me, faith. I don't think you can have too much. Well, maybe if it gets to the point of delusion where you have a psychosis. So I don't know. But like I said, anything can be too much. So, like I said, with building and empowering your brain, it's all about creating the life you desire, creating your own system of beliefs, not always having to accept what the masses or what's trending or what's this. That's why I say sometimes you have to quiet the noise, sit with your own spirit, ask yourself, what do you need? This person's delivery, this influencer's delivery, this teacher's delivery, this spiritual healer's delivery may stress you out, may disempower you, may discourage you. So, but that one over there nurtures you, empowers you, motivates you, uplifts you, all those things to your spirit. So it's not saying that other person is a bad teacher or whatever. It's just saying that that's not the one for you, because the way that they deliver their message, their words, don't do the same as. That's why God does not have one person doing it. He's called many people because he wants people from different walks of life to spread his word in a way that the same go. And this is how multiple called people can collaborate, is when you understand the big assignment, the big picture. When you understand the mission is to have everybody live in their full potential and awaken and unlock the power that is bestowed in all of them, to realize that they're all called as God's children. If you understand that, it's easier to work with people because you understand what they do is for them. What I do is for me and my tribe. What they do is for them and their tribe. You see what I'm saying? Like, or for people who resonate with them. And then when we come together, then we have a whole nother audience. All you have to do is be the best version of yourself. You're mastering thyself. Self-mastery, self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-accountability. It's self. Self is the ultimate wealth in all its facets. Hopefully something I said resonated with you. Take what you need and leave the rest. Well, as always, someone who cares, a spiritual activist. Remember, we're getting to the root so we can find the SOULution. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. Keep God first. I love you guys. Peace out.